review. Elon did talk about how they're doubling down on Dojo and why they're doing that. But this is a post, a tweet by Gali saying, let's have Tesla invest $5 billion in XAI, get this shareholder vote passed as soon as possible. And then Elon replied saying, well, we would need a shareholder vote for that. We'll hold a poll, see what people think first, and then discuss with the board. That's how he positioned it. So he did end up putting this poll up yesterday. Should Tesla invest $5 billion into XAI, assuming the valuation is set by several credible outside investors? Board approval and shareholder vote are needed. So this is just to test the waters. And in the, I guess it was 24 hours. So I guess 16 hours into it, 68% of people, I guess it's just random people, said yes. 31% said no. What are you guys thinking about this whole scenario?
Well, I think that, first of all, on X, you are in a bit of a bubble. It's tough to say that this is a representative slice. I think that number might even be higher if it goes to an actual shareholder vote. Because you recall when you looked at the polling for will Elon's back pay be approved, we didn't see any polls that got as high as 72%, the margin by which it actually the final vote was. But I think there is an appetite for this. I think the objective with keeping XAI outside of Tesla was to produce more value for those early employees, to give them an opportunity to have some pretty crazy upside that they would want from a startup. If they had done within Tesla, they would have struggled to attract the top talent because they would have had to either just pay them cash, whether they're good or not, or give them stock that would be at a level that's, not necessarily going to 10x or 100x the way you would see with a startup. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think you have to look at this through what I think is the proper lens, and that's that there's three reasons to do this, and only three. One is this is in general just a call option on a startup. All right. This could easily go bust. This could go nowhere. Keep in mind, all of these companies that are pretty much just doing LLMs are going to start hitting a reality curve here real soon. It's already happening. I've been talking about this for like 3 months now. You're definitely starting to see the rug get pulled out from a lot of these companies. So it is a call option. It's a long dated bet on a startup. So that's one. Two, what Tesla gains, what us as investors using Tesla cash to invest in this, what we gain, how we benefit is by helping us get access to a lot of people and a lot of equipment that we don't have right now. And that leads into number three, the CapEx of it. If Tesla were to do all this in-house, because eventually we're going to need to have some way for humans to communicate with the vehicles, humans to communicate with the bot, that means that Tesla has to invest in the hardware. They need to build out a data center that can hold it. They need time to get all the GPUs. They need to hire more people that can do this. This allows us to take advantage of what XAI is doing right now. So it helps us from a time perspective and a capital perspective as well, right? So we can leverage our cash by not having to be the ones that lay out all the capital, data center, people, and all that. Instead, we leverage our cash by investment, and we get to use what XAI is using. So that's kind of how I see this. It helps to shrink the time it takes for us to get this into the vehicles, into Optimus. Helps them accelerate, have them have a focus. But that's how I look at this. I really don't think that there's anything proprietary here. I don't think there's anything revolutionary here that Tesla couldn't do. At the end of the day, LLMs are commoditized already. There's really nothing special here, but the call option is in what we don't know yet, what they may build, what may happen in the future. And I think that's worth investing in. And at the end of the day, it's an Elon Musk company. How often do you have a chance to get in on a startup of an Elon Musk company? That is worth the gamble.
And I would add to that yes, not only is this how you get into one of his new companies, but you're already in it. And yes, while there's some opportunities to build, like you were saying, commoditize, LLMs are already somewhat commoditized. What a lot of them don't have is a path to monetization. And this has a clear product at the end of it, which puts it apart from an awful lot of the competitors in that field.
Okay, well, okay, so I disagree with what you guys are saying, because in a sense that it is LLM today. LLM is a commodity, and there's many options out there that the cost of that is going down to zero. I don't see this effort as LLM only. That's just what it is today. What this is this is a path towards AGI. Elon said that we need AI and AGI. Tesla is a robotics AI company. So they've got effort to create robots, both cars and humanoid, and other form factors. They've got efforts to create Dojo and buying NVIDIA chips to create the largest supercomputers. And they've got the greatest real world AI effort. But in order to get to AGI, he needed to recruit people, and he tried. But then he said that you couldn't get the people to do AGI. They want to do AGI. They want to do it as a startup. So he created XAI. So it is imperative for Tesla to get a piece of XAI. And not because this is what Tesla is, a robotics AI company. The other part is that it's not just an LLM. It is an LLM today. We are headed towards AGI. We're talking about embodied AI. The race today, and it is an absolute race. It's an arms race for not only the chips and data centers, it's an arm race for the AI. What you're seeing is an explosion in generative AI, because that's the things that the data that they can get. What you're now going to see is an explosion in embodied AI. These are form factors living in the real world, needing to get all the vision data, but also the interaction data. It's one thing to feed YouTube videos to teach an LLM or an AGI, right? An AI, what the world is like, but they don't have the actual physics. You need to actually touch it. You can watch these video interviews. I've been interviewing a lot of the CEOs of the humanoid bot companies and now human scale bot companies as well. And they're saying that the data that they can get from physically touching things, from physically knowing things, like, the greatest example is if you throw a ball and you're going to catch the ball, you don't need to know the physics and the actual calculations and algorithms. You just physically do it and you actually see what happens to it and you figure things out. That's what these AI needs to do. And so if XAI is not part of Tesla, they need to partner with some company that is doing that. The company that can have the greatest lead in embodied AI is Tesla, because they're going to have the most. They already have the most, right? They have 7 million robots on the road today. No one has that. Then they're going to have millions and millions of bots, thousands first, and then eventually millions of humanoid bots. Then they're going to have millions of other kinds of embodied AI, different kinds of form factors like R2D2s and even just robotic arms and so forth. You need that much to be able to get to AGI. And so this is the combination, this perfect combination. I actually want to have the conversation with you guys whether or not you think 5 billion is enough. 5 billion at okay, well, yeah, you tell me. But Nick, right now, currently today, XAI is valued at $24 billion. So 5 billion as of March would be around 20%. We don't know what it'll be valued at by the time, several, months from now, year from now. What's your thoughts on that? Yeah.
I can tell Brian and I are both busting at the seams to jump in here. Brian, why don't you go first, and then I'll go, because I'm gonna ruin Herbert's day.
Yes. So I do think Herbert's getting out a little bit ahead of himself there, but I love all of this, but I don't think 5 billion is too low. I don't think that they're cash starved necessarily, and 25 billion is a lot. This is going to be a big jump to everyone's net worth over at that company. I don't know what they were valued at before, but I think adding 5 billion would definitely adjust their market value a bit. And I don't know how much revenue a company like this is even worth, but I'm very curious to hear what you have to say, Nick.
Herbert, you have it backwards. You're sitting here telling me that Tesla will have to partner with someone who is working on AGI because we need to be able to have the bodies and the physics and all this stuff, right? You have it backwards. XAI can't do anything without the data that Tesla has. Mm-hmm. If Tesla does not provide this data, how's XAI going to do anything with AGI? Scouring the internet? Where are they going to get their data from? They can't do anything. Nothing. They're dead in the water. Look at OpenAI right now. They're literally paying Google to be able to take videos of YouTube and transcribe them. All right. This is more like saying, hey, Apple, pay me Google X amount of billions to have this as your de facto Google search on your phones. That's more of that kind of play. XAI, Tesla is not nothing without XAI. XAI is nothing without Tesla. Tesla is the only way they're ever going to get that data of going out into the real world. Now, that to me says that this is asymmetric. XAI needs Tesla. Tesla does not need XAI. You're sitting here talking about physics of the humanoids and throwing a ball and all that. They're already doing that, Herbert. They are already picking things up, folding clothes. They don't need to have XAI to do any of that. The only part right now that XAI is additive to Tesla, the only part is having an LLM. That's literally it. Now, in the future, we don't know what the future holds. The partnership between XAI, being able to use more engineers, being able to raise funds so that Tesla doesn't have to take the burden of all those clusters, all the H100s. Yes, that part from a capitalization perspective, not touching my balance sheet, yeah, that makes sense. But Tesla could do this on their own. They don't need XAI. Like this is let's just keep it real here.
Well,
XAI
sorry, Brian. Sorry, Brian.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I get you're absolutely correct, right? Tesla does not need XAI in the sense that Tesla has the real world. You've heard Elon explain and tell you that the robotaxi is baby AGI. Yes, it's AGI, but not really. When you have AGI, and after AGI is ASI, like a superhuman, super intelligence, you need to be a part of that. It's the biggest. Yeah.
Answer the question. How does XAI help? XAI is nothing without Twitter data, without X data. They're nothing. They haven't. They won't have. They wouldn't have done anything.
Again, I think you are today. You're correct. It's an LLM. You refer to it as an LLM. I'm referring to it as eventually AGI. If it doesn't get to AGI,
how do you do that?
It's a total fail.
How do you do that?
The only they need each other, right? Because you can't get there without real world, right? Which is what Tesla provides. But Tesla can't get there because they're not working on AGI right now, and it's a race. So other companies will get there. The only thing is other companies won't get there because they need a Tesla. They need all the embodied form factors, as many as that they can.
That's my point. So Tesla could easily just hire more people. They could easily just take current engineers, move them off. They could easily just delay it, work it on this later. Like all they need is people. They don't actually need XAI. XAI needs it. Tesla has something that they can't get otherwise. So you're going to, on paper, what we're paying for in this case would be $5 billion to have access to those people, to that human capital, and the already stood up H100 cluster. That's what you're investing for today. And then the call option for what may happen in the future, what breakthroughs might happen. But I'm just saying, like, let's be completely transparent. Tesla does not need XAI for this. They could easily hire people to work on this and point the direction. Elon's already doing this. Elon has a bigger picture. He's playing a bigger game. He's not just looking at Tesla. He has vested interest in XAI, right? He wants to succeed. He needs to make sure it gets funding. So there is part of that. Like
well, that's why he's putting it to vote. It needs to be a shareholder vote because the retail investors have to be the one demanding it. I am a retail investor and I am demanding it because I know you're saying, well, hey, you know what? Tesla doesn't need them and Tesla can just hire people. Reality is Tesla is a robotics AI company. They need to partner and they need to have as much AI as they can. And having another group,
what does that mean?
There's no one in Tesla today working on an LLM and no one's working on AGI today. And so if you aren't doing that by now, you're going to be 2-3 years behind. You need to find a partner today because it's a race against other companies.
Okay,
this is the biggest thing in the possible, right?
This is something that really frustrates me when people just talk about this and they just say they need more AI. That means nothing. Those are words that mean nothing really. What work? So if XAIs work on AGI, you tell me.
Yeah.
If it's non-LM, what is AGI? What is work on AGI? What does that mean?
Okay, well, I mean, I got definitions from everybody here, but of course,
it's to Herbert. What does it mean
intelligence? Okay, intelligence. And what does intelligence mean, right? It means that it has the not only communication to you back and forth, but actually understanding the world. And then the AGI part. So that means not just a singular, very focused vertical area. It's being able to be knowing almost everything about everything. You can't get there.
Do you
But
not think
in
that
order
the
to
humanoid
get, yes, it will
needs
get
to-
there. It's only going to get there. Okay, so humanoid without an LLM first can't talk to you. Then without AGI later, it won't understand the world. It might be able to do
that's
tasks.
not true either.
And it can. You need both. That's the point, right? You need real world AI combined with AGI. I mean, can you imagine not having
What's
access to
AGI?
AGI? It's when a computer is more. Is just surpasses. First of all, we already at the Turing test, right? Where already you can't even tell the difference between a computer and a human. AGI is when it's not just one human; it's like the entire world knowledge is accessible to this intelligence.
Let me ask this a different way. XAI, if they are standalone, how do they solve AGI without Tesla?
Yeah, that's the argument. I'm on that side of it, which is XAI and other LLM companies can't get to AGI without real world embodied form factors. And that's where the next race is.
Now, let me ask you, forget XAI, say that they never even exist. That's off the table. How does Tesla solve AGI?
Yeah, they have.
That's my point.
I agree with you. I agree with you that you need the real world part of it. And that's my side. By the way, there are lots of scientists, as I study this, on the other side of it, who believe that you don't need physical form factors to get to, you don't need embodied AI to get to AGI. I think it's split 50-50 between the two.
Okay, guys. Okay, for crying out loud. So here's the big misunderstanding is take Tesla out of this equation. XAI can get there with X's data. They don't need Tesla's data. All Tesla has is Tesla has road data. Tesla has vehicle data. But X has all the language, all the videos, all the speech, all of that XAI can draw from. This is a three-way situation here, kind of. This is a, bit of a love triangle with the companies all kind of need each other. XAI definitely cannot stand without the training data provided by outside companies, of which they've got, kiss and cousin relationships here close enough to get it done. Tesla, I don't think, I don't know in what way Tesla needs XAI, if they're as close as we have been told to autonomy. The robot, they could certainly buy it. They could certainly license it. I don't know if it's worth $5 billion to do that, but they're not giving them $5 billion so much as purchasing $5 billion worth of the company, which in the end would ultimately be worth presumably more than that. But I think we're kind of combining a bunch of different things that are not necessarily combinable.
Well, my only point is just to make sure everybody's level-headed on this. Again, just to go back to my initial stance, I would never say no to investing in the startup of Elon Musk, ever. I don't care. If it was throwing my money away, I don't care. It's worth the shot. But today, to be clear, you don't even need an LLM for what we would need for robotaxi. You really don't, right? Siri, Alexa, all of them. Shut up. My phone. Those weren't based on LLMs to begin with, right? With the robotaxi, it's honestly, there's not really that much that you would need to be able to say and have it, answer or respond back or do a certain action. But my point is that this investment is not about Grok in the cars. It's not about Grok in the humanoid. I don't think Tesla needs that at all. I really don't, right? AGI, Tesla, in my opinion, will be the ones that actually solve AGI before even XAI will. Because if a humanoid right now is working in the factory, that's closer to AGI than anything Grok is even doing right now, anything XAI is doing right now, than anyone else is doing right now, really. All right. The cars, it's not just car data. There's so much more in that, right? The cars it's not just videos. Right? The car is understanding the kinematics of a human on a sidewalk, what their intentions are, right? That is closer to AGI than anything XAI is doing. So for you to tell me that they're not working on it, I call BS on that. They are working on it. It's just they're not aiming towards that. It just happens to be a repercussion of the things that they're solving for, right? And that's how they got to Optimus, right? They're working on all these things like, hey, look at all these pieces we have. Like we put them together, we have the right ingredients. Who knew? But I'm just saying that right now, the 5 billion, it's a call option onto what can be with XAI, but really today is for that acceleration factor because we don't have a dedicated team working on this. Otherwise, we'd have to hire and start from scratch, or we pull resources off of the FSD team. We don't have the clusters up and running right now. Guess what? XAI does. And on top of that, Tesla, us investors, we don't have to recognize or go purchase all that equipment. Guess what? Other investors put money into XAI and they're using that capital and we just get the sponge off of it. Reciprocity is a real thing. XAI will get the mother of all data loads. That sounded weird, but they'll get all the Optimus data. They'll get all the vehicle data. They'll be able to work on they'll be able to build on the shoulders of what the Tesla FSD team has done. Like I said, understanding kinematics of humans, understanding the differences between rain, that bag going across. Okay, yeah, just run through it. Like it's okay. It's not a big deal. Oh, that's a deer. Or oh, right. All these little that instantaneous nuance. Like you have to move in nanoseconds. You can't wait and delay your decisions. All these things, XAI is going to benefit from it. So I don't know. I'm trying to say.
I gotta say, you're winning me over. You are winning me over.
Well, he's not saying don't invest in XAI. He's just saying that Tesla is a isometric thing. So I was in a conversation yesterday with a space of very smart people talking about. Yeah, you were there, and you heard Stock Talk Weekly talking about this, which is okay.
We were debating,
And Stock Talk Weekly pointed out that. Now, I totally agree with you. He was just the example of OpenAI and Microsoft. So he said that when Microsoft invested in OpenAI, in about a year from now, Microsoft market cap went up by $1 trillion because they were able to explicitly explain how the AI is going to fundamentally change their business, despite the fact that their revenue and their fundamentals didn't actually show that this is the case. But attaching themselves to OpenAI dramatically worked well for Microsoft because now the world, the investors are seeing them as an AI company. I think we can agree that, yes, everything you've said, you and I agree that Tesla has this capability, but investors probably have not valued Tesla what it's worth in terms of its AI capability. It'll come soon when they prove it in real world robotaxis and bots and other things. But, having XAI be part of that could create the kind of that AI halo and the AI excitement for the stock as well. And it's long term, not just a blip and then it's gone kind of thing.
Okay, so I want to be intellectually honest here because you said what Stock Talk said, but you didn't reference the beautiful argument that the person rebutted to him, which was me, which was if that's what you think, that you think that really Microsoft soared because they attached themselves, then why isn't Amazon bigger than them? Because Anthropic and Amazon have the biggest partnership, and Anthropic is by far leading the way, and they have sucked up all the best talent. Anthropic was built from people who left OpenAI because they were doing weird, sketchy stuff, hence Sam getting ousted and coming back in. Anthropic is leading the way now with Claude. They're leading the way. Them and Amazon have a very tight partnership. So explain that to me. Stock Talk's point of view is like, oh, well, they haven't marketed well just yet. That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. There's stuff all over. The truth is, and then he also said that, Wall Street doesn't just give valuations for no reason. Again, BS. You're telling me Lucid deserved the valuation they had? You're telling me Nikola deserved the valuation they had? You can go on and on. This happens. There was a lot of hype in the market. People saw OpenAI. They wanted a way to invest in OpenAI. So once they had that partnership, they invested in Microsoft because they thought that was the play. And since then, chaos has ensued. And now you're starting to see things come back down to earth. This is very normal, very natural. If you think that Tesla is going to be recognized as an AI company by attaching to XAI, nobody knows what XAI is. Nobody knows what Grok is. People don't even know what Anthropic is. People just know OpenAI. People just know ChatGPT, right? It's a Halo product. It's the one thing that people know. That's why we know all these, because we're in this. We're invested in this. So we have our own biases. But in the real world, most people haven't heard of Grok. If you hear about Grok, they're thinking about something else. They're probably thinking about Chamath's GPUs, because they know more about that than what we have here, or his inference compute. So I don't buy that argument, and I think you're going to see that reverse. I put money on this. Not financial advice, but it will reverse.
Let's go back to the supercomputers, right? So XAI just launched he said the largest supercomputer in the world. They just turned it on 2 days ago, yesterday. And then he goes, by December, he expects Grok, which is owned by XAI, to be the leading in most intelligent AI in the world by December. Grok 3 is coming next year, right? So he's already making these statements. The largest supercomputer in the world, just that alone, you should have ownership in that. You should have partnership with that, regardless if there's any connection between the two, because then maybe there's some synergies of who uses what for when. And then you could sell Dojo to them and vice versa and all that.
So let me jump in here, because I am apparently part of this video as well. There's this persistent question in the chat. Why Apple's getting to use OpenAI for free? Why would we pay? Why would we give $5 billion? The first answer is nothing's free. If you're not paying for it, you're not the customer, you're the product. So don't ever, when something says it's free, you got to ask who's actually paying for it. Second of all, it's not that you're giving $5 billion, it's that you're investing $5 billion. And the objective isn't that you're buying a product so much as buying a stake. And having a stake in a company that you think is going to be worth more in the future means it's actually free to get this partnership. So there's, a lot. Nothing is free. Just please, people, please remember that.
I agree. Yeah,
Okay.
I think the whole Apple thing with OpenAI is like a short-term agreement to see how it plays out with the promise of a future agreement. Right?
Yeah.
It's like,
And they can flip them out. They can flip out OpenAI to another LLM if they wanted to.
And what are you getting that's free? Somebody's paying somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is an investment, right? So you are putting some of your money into another investment. And you're saying, yes, it could be a failure of a company, but you also said it's Elon Musk run company. And then why else would you invest? Well, the shareholders, 63% right now is in favor with this. So, and Elon seems to be in favor of this as well.
There's only 4 players. Really, there's only 4 players. The OpenAI, obviously, and as far as I can tell, they're falling behind by a lot. Anthropic, clear number 1 right now. They're the clear number 1. It's honestly insane to see what 3.5 is doing. Meta,
Giving it away for free.
I see as number 2. It's to me, I think they're number 2 right now. And again, no, nothing's free, Herbert. You are I'm not joking. Like Brian said it right. They're mining you. They are mining you. ChatGPT, not free. They're mining you. And then I think XAI only, I say XAI because they have Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. And Elon Musk can raise capital for them. Without Elon Musk, they don't raise capital, and they're a distant 7th, 8th, right? I didn't say Minstrel in there, so sorry for anyone who's invested in them, but they're just not right now. That's just the reality. So that's how I see it. It's those 4. And so to be able to have stake in one of those 4, yes, once again, we're really investing in Elon more so than XAI. But I mean, for me, that's been the name of the game for the last 6-7 years. And it's worked out.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk Dojo, because obviously it's kind of related. This is what Elon said at the earnings call regarding Dojo. He was asked any update on Dojo, and he said yes. So Dojo, but I should preface this by saying I'm incredibly impressed by NVIDIA's execution and the capability of their hardware. And what we're seeing is that demand for NVIDIA hardware is so high that it's often difficult to get the GPUs. And there just seems this I guess I'm quite concerned about actually being able to get state-of-the-art NVIDIA GPUs when we want them. Okay, competition's there, and it therefore requires that we put a lot more effort in Dojo in order to ensure that we've got the training capability we need. So we're going to double down on Dojo, and we do see a path to being competitive with NVIDIA with Dojo. And I think we kind of have no choice because the demand for NVIDIA is so high, and obviously it's their obligation to raise the price of GPUs to whatever the market will bear, which is very high. So I think we've really got to make Dojo work, and we will.
There are a lot of companies trying to make AI inference chips, both in the U.S. but also in China, in Taiwan, in everywhere really. Will Dojo become a leader on that? Yeah, maybe for a while. Maybe. I mean, I think it will, but it's going to be a competitive space, and it already is. I think NVIDIA's got a real head start on it that's put them in a very unique position over the last couple of years, and this explosive growth we've seen is just because they do have the best chip in town, and but it'll be interesting to see if Dojo can surpass it. And if it can it do it at scale? And if it can, does that mean all that NVIDIA valuation needs to flow to Tesla, or at least all that revenue? Because any excess capacity they have, they can rent out, assuming they reach a point where they have excess capacity, where the demand on compute is not simply infinite compared to the amount of compute available. I'd be curious to know if you guys think that enough problems will be solved, that Tesla would have the headspace, the availability to actually rent out AI compute in the next 3 years.
I'm thinking.
I mean, they have to. There's no choice. This is the name of the game. They have to get as many data centers they can build as fast as they can. It's a priority.
So they wouldn't have any
question.
Right. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't have any spare capacity with which to offer Dojo as a service.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Should they sell Dojo or not? Yeah.
So here's the problem with Dojo. And even the H100s, like it's not so straightforward just to rent it out. Because if that was a very straightforward model, you really think NVIDIA would be selling any of these? Hell no. They would have recurring revenue on every single person. All right, that'd be the right model to go with. So I think that would be a big factor, is that Tesla would have to have a lot of front-ending profile customization. How do we pull your data in? Where do we store that data? Because you're not going to be doing all that with H100s, right? You need like a lot of standard x86 servers. You need a lot of storage. So you'd essentially be becoming a cloud at that point, a hyperscaler. And the problem is, what people don't want to do with these hyperscalers, to send data in, they don't charge you. It's free, right? No, it's not free. What's happening is you kind of get held hostage. But all hyperscalers charge when you pull data out of the cloud. So what people don't like to do is move from one cloud to another. They want to keep everything within their VPC, their virtual private cloud. And so whether it's like within AWS and Azure and GCP and some colo, it doesn't matter. But what gets expensive is transacting in and out, in and out, in and out. That gets very expensive. So the reason I'm saying this is because that means that people would probably want to do things within their environment and not have to deal with those costs. So Tesla would have to account for that as well. And then Tesla would have to hire, solution architects. You'd have to hire sales teams. You'd have to, this would be a whole scale out thing. Yeah. So I'm just trying to like paint the picture of it. So like 3 years, I don't see that.
No.
2030, I could see that launching in 2030. 2030, I could see it start.
It can be very lucrative, but later. And once they got what they need out of it, which could be, like you said, unlending.
Yeah, but it's not the compute. It's not because of the compute. I do think that they're not compute constrained now, right? I mean, we already heard that. I think the limiting factor will be like having the bandwidth to set up the structure to do this properly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously they are compute constrained, or they would stop buying compute. If they're not compute constrained for what they're working on at the moment, but
Yes. Yeah.
So let's get back to
Compute's not the
XAI.
limiting factor. I think time's the limiting factor.
Yeah.
Jordan Giesecke is the limiting factor. We can all agree on that.
So
Nicely
Tesla
done.
investing into XAI, you're right, Nick. I mean, obviously Tesla has all the data. It has all the robots. It has all the. It has massive data centers, and in fact, they have the Dojo chip too. That's why we talked about that. Then why do people think that they should invest in XAI? Let's take a look at what Gene Munster of Deepwater Institutional Analyst. Here's what he said. Some perspective on a distant potential that Tesla invests $5 billion in XAI, as suggested by Elon's poll yesterday. The poll found 68% of voters, Elon fans, supported the investment. Bottom line is this. It would be this would have a material benefit to XAI, right? Like you're saying, given it would almost double XAI's capital raise to date. As for Tesla, the impact would be more subtle. If XAI's post-money valuation was $29 billion, the recent round was $24 billion, right? This implies Tesla would hold 17% of XAI, assuming no dilution, and XAI reaches a valuation of $200 billion in the next 5 years. That would just add over 4% to Tesla's market cap, $30 billion. So from a return on the capital perspective, a 600% return over 5 years is a great outcome. My recommendation, Tesla should invest $20 billion into XAI to move the needle for investors. So don't just do 5, let's do 20. I mean, obviously, but that's his perspective.
Why use cash, and why not just buy it with stock like so many other companies do, like Tesla did with, I think, both Maxwell and Highbar. I don't think they paid cash. I think they paid stock.
Yeah, I don't know how that works as far as dilution for us. I don't know if they'd have to dilute us at all. I don't know how that works.
Well, it would dilute the market share, the market cap by $5 billion. It'd be very, very small.
Oh, okay. So, okay, well, something like that, I would prefer, to be honest. My like, if I had to make an argument for why not to do this, is because although they have 30 billion on hand now, I think if my numbers are right, I'm worried that we got a lot of economic numbers today that don't look good. You saw Canada cut rates. I'm of the opinion that Jerome Powell should probably be cutting this month, next week, I guess, or this week, next week. Things just seem to be getting a little sketchy right now. And if we go into a recession, like I think people forget, yeah, the stock got up to 250, 260. Rates are still at 40-year highs, right? People are still hurting. Besides the Mag 7, everybody else is doing bad. Listen to all these earnings outside Tesla. Things are slowing down. I mean, you heard it from Google yesterday. You heard it, Visa doesn't miss. Visa is the poster child for repeatable growth up and to the right. Not MasterCard, American Express, everybody's showing weaker numbers. You're starting to see it also in consumer services, like, hotels, theme parks, whatever, Disney, right? You saw in theme parks. So my point is, while 30 billion seems like a lot today, we don't know how much more we're going to have to fund and take margins down, which I don't care about. I really don't. What I fear is that we get to a place where all of a sudden we're using our cash on hand and we're not replenishing it. And then we're ready to do robo-taxis, and our limiting factor is cash, and we might have to do a capital raise. I don't want to do a capital raise. So that's kind of my only fear. I mean, we could always take out debt and stuff, but you know what? I like being debt-free as an investor. So that's my only thing. Like, if I was going to nitpick something like that, that'd be my concern right there. 20 billion, that's insane. If the whole reason XAI was started is because they didn't want to be tied with Tesla. I think they want to have more autonomy than just being part of Tesla. They want to be able to have their own name recognition, all that. If Tesla puts in 20 billion, like, Okay, then what was the point of any of that? So I imagine the founders would push back on that.
Yeah.
And it's a
20
waste of
billion.
money.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right. The 20 billion is way off, but Gene's basically saying it only makes sense if we're going to get something that's going to move the needle for Tesla. That's stock wise, right? That's return on capital wise. I guess the way I've been arguing and debating early today is basically that if you're going to invest in anything, it's got to be AI. And I know you said you can't just use the word AI, but we're talking about compute, data centers, and the different kinds of AI. You've got the real world AI that Tesla's doing. We got to be part of LLM as well. We cannot not be part of that. That's the whole point. And LLM is combined with the real world is what gets us to AGI. If another company does AGI and Tesla's not even anywhere near that, then it's an issue. That's what I want to do, is prevent that from happening, or at least having a piece of it. Like you said, it's a call option, but the call option is made even better because you have Elon, because you have Tesla and all the assets Tesla has. That's why the combination makes sense.
Does it make $5 billion worth of sense?
I want more. I think we should be putting more than 5 billion.
Why? What do we get out of that?
I like the 6.9.
What do we get out of that?
Like I said, I already repeated myself several times, right? I think we need to be part of this. Elon created.
But you'd be part of it at 5. What would you get
not just
extra over 5?
It's not the LLM part. You just keep referring to the LLM, which is a commodity. I completely understand.
That's
a lot
all
of these companies
there is.
Won't sell anything. That's not what all this is. Combined with what Tesla has, this is how you can get to AGI. Imagine a bot or a robot with a car with a AGI. That's what we're talking about. It's like, yes, Tesla's FSD can recognize a floating bag. It can recognize the difference between a fog and others. It has baby AGI. It can read words. This is what we need to be able to truly be like human-like, really like this, like beyond human-like. That's what we're wanting to have.
I push back on your premise that you take what Tesla has and you take an LLM and now we can get the AGI. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but you can't do it with just an LLM without Tesla, with the real world, but you can't just do it without just Tesla by itself without the LLM that we're starting with at this point.
I bet you by the time we get the AGI, there will be no LLMs involved.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying LLM, you keep referring to it, and I'm going, that's what it is today. That's not what it's going to be next year or 2 years from now. Do you want me to show you a chart that they showed here? I've got it right here, ready to go. Let's take a look at this because it's
Herbert, always on top of it, always ready to go. Put some flowers on this guy's name.
Yeah, you bet. I am friggin' ready to go. Actually, hold on.
Take those flowers back. They must be roses because they smell like.
I need to make the images fit the screen, and I thought I did it, but I just did it for one thing. Okay, you got to take a look at this. This is very interesting. Perfect timing that we're talking about this right now. Okay. So this conversation happened between Elon and some very smart people. So this guy named Ram Altman posted this. It's a diagram based on Coco Tajajo's predictions. Coco Tajajo's an OpenAI research future, and he had his future AI predictions, and now I'll show you each one of them. But 2024, he believes by this year, you're going to have GPT next. Okay? You're talking about an LLM, dude, an autonomous agent. That's what this is today. But by 2025, you're going to have an autonomous agent. This is, widely adopted as personal assistants. Okay? Complex instructions and significantly enhancing productivity, daily life management. 2026, super intelligent AGI. You're trying to get me to explain that. Emergence of AGI that surpasses human level performance in most tasks. This AGI will be capable of rapid learning, problem solving across diverse domains. Within 30 days of deployment, this AGI could reach a level equivalent to hundreds of human experts. 2026. 2027, you got ASI, artificial superintelligence. Okay. So that's 27. And then you got nanobots in 2028 and humanoid robots in 2029. And Elon replied to that. And he said, oh, shoot, I lost my reply. Damn it.
That sounds like something Elon would say. No, I can make charts that say crazy things too.
That's what Elon said. He said Tesla will have genuinely useful human or robots and low production for Tesla internal use next year, and hopefully high production for other companies in 2026. This is how he replied to that list.
I'm not one to think that we're going to have anywhere near AGI by 2030.
I don't think nanobots in 2028. I mean, this is
You guys are sounding. Have you guys read? I know you did, Nick. Ray Kurzweil's Singularity is Near. Did you read that in 1990 when you're a 6-year-old?
1990.
pick that mic up, Herbert. You did not drop it.
Sorry.
I was an embryo. 1990.
Ray Kurzweil wrote a book called Singularity is Near. He predicted AGI in 1990. He predicted, AGI to be in 2029. 99%, almost 100% of all AI experts at the time said, will never happen in our lifetime, will happen hundreds of years from now. Every 5 years, that survey is redone. And every 5 years, you see that number coming down, but nowhere near 2029. You ask that question today, what do you think the answer is now? Yes, 2029. And here you are going, it won't be 2029. I mean, we're here. Even Elon himself says it'll be here in a couple of years. He himself has said that.
I will add that Nico wants to bet you, but I will add that I do not believe that powered flight will happen within the next million years.
That's a good one. No, I definitely don't think it'll happen 2029. It won't happen 2030. Just look at how long it's taken us to just get to autonomous vehicles. And this is something that us as humans, we do it when we're drunk. We do it when we're exhausted. We do it when we're talking to someone distracted. When I drop something on the ground, I'm trying to pick it up. It's something that we do almost like breathing and walking, where you don't really have to pay attention. You can almost zone out. How many times have you guys driven? You're like, did I stop at that stop sign?
How did I get here? I'm halfway home.
Yeah. That's how little real brain power it takes us to drive. All right. We don't even understand how the brain actually works yet. Right. And you're talking about having super intelligence. Now, if you're saying, hey, my calculator can do math better than you. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. It will destroy me. If you're talking about it can play chess better than me, yes, you're right. There will be tasks where computers are far exceed humans, but I don't think this decade we're going to get to a place where computers are superior, smarter than humans collectively, individually. It still won't understand little nuanced things. I hope it does. Don't get me wrong. This is not something I want to be right about, because the sooner that we get there, the sooner that, I'm a Tesla 100 millionaire, I'm fine with that. But I don't see that happening. So when do you think FSD will be able to drive better than any human, Herbert?
Let's just read what Elon has said first.
Wait. Hold on. No, answer my question first. Let's not deviate into another topic.
We're talking about AGI, and we're talking about Elon said. This is what is said about it.
When do you think FSD will be able to drive better than any human in the world?
Oh, any human, all humans, the best human in the world?
Best human in the world.
I wouldn't be able to guess that. I would, because if you're saying the best human in the world, right, that means every single edge case has to be solved. I don't know. Yeah. So that part's a little harder to predict. I think that, the number that they're doing is 10 times safer than a human or 20 times safer than a human. That's already on track for that. For it to solve everything that a human could do, you need AGI. And in order to get there, that's my point to you. You need AGI. And FSD is not AGI. It's not going to get you there. You need AGI. Oh, by the way, did you see that thing I showed you? John Carmack said that I decided not to do self-driving because I thought you needed AGI to solve it. Now he goes, I actually do think it's you can data your way to it, is his words, which means
So
that at this point they can get to this point.
you didn't prove your point. You proved my point. You don't need AGI to solve it.
Yeah, no, but
he changed his mind.
to data your way through it though could take you're saying every single edge case.
My
Right?
point is, if you're sitting there saying that sounds like forever, yet AGI is going to happen so quickly, and we're just talking about driving. We're just talking about driving. We're not talking about everything else.
Okay, well, let's look at what Elon said about AGI. He said this, right? In 2021, he said could arrive within 5 years, but also said it could take much longer. In 2022, he said Tesla's AI efforts could help pave the way for AGI, but he was concerned about the risk of creating a super intelligent AI. In 2023, he said that he believes AGI will be achieved within the next 10 years, also that it could be dangerous. In 2024, he thinks AGI will be achieved within the next year or two. So from 10 years to next year or two. So, okay.
What do you think, Brian?
You say what matters what Elon thinks. Guys, come on. We are nowhere anywhere.
I'm just glad that this conversation is not in any way frustrating or circular or unresolved or any of that, and that we're just making productive headway. My question for Herbert would be $5 billion, too high, too low, or just right?
I just said I want more. I mean, if Tesla...
And what is the right number?
Oh, I like the number 6.9. Steve Mark Ryan posted it up there.
Why does that number tickle your fancy, Herbert?
So I asked Gally, you were there in the call yesterday. Why did he pick 5 billion? And it was the right number in terms of how much cash Tesla has, what percentage you would get of XAI. In my mind, 5 is great. I think that even a little bit higher is better, because I am on the camp that AI, data centers, compute is the name of the game for the future of any company in this world. That's the future of Tesla, robotics, AI. You've got to maximize. Why not invest in a company that does other kinds of AI that you've just explained very eloquently earlier that Tesla's not doing? They could do it, but Elon's hiring the best people in XAI. I want a piece of that for the call option, but also for the massive benefit for Tesla, and both ways, right? They can help each other. So what a great synergy.
Yeah, Brian, I like 5 billion because it's essentially, all right, we didn't put 5 billion, in our cash pile this quarter, but essentially it's one good quarter's worth of, net income or cash on hand. And, if we have just a decent quarter next quarter, and we use that 5, it's almost like a wash. It's like, all right, well, now we got this investment. We still have roughly our 30 billion. Like, I can live with that, because ideally we keep growing that 30 billion into 40, 50 billion. Because to me right now, I'm of the opinion that FSD will be solved this year. It's going to continue to get better next year, but we need to be ready to quickly launch robotaxis. I think Elon was playing coy on the call yesterday when help me out, French analyst
Pierre
Farragut was asking, like, how do you envision the rollout? Pierre was asking, like, how do you clean them? Where do you charge them? Like, who maintenance it? Like, are you gonna have like the supercharging locate? Like, that's what he was asking. And Elon kind of just like played coy with that, but there's going to have to be an infrastructure build out for that probably. And so we're going to need capital for all of that. And when it's ready, I love Elon's pace, because I'm of the mindset, hey, when we're ready to go, it needs to be a light switch. It doesn't need to be a slow. We need to be going a guns a-blazing. And if it's a guns a-blazing, if we see that we know we're going to be ready, we need to start building before we even start coming off that production line. Like, I think we need to be thinking 2 steps ahead, so that once we can be pulling Robotex off the production line, we are going.
And we've seen Elon do that with other things. When the permits were approved to clear the woods in Berlin, the logging companies came in from all over Germany, from Poland, from Ukraine, and in 9 days that site was clear, because this permit could get stopped at any time except once it's finished. And we've seen that with a lot of things. With the ground leveling in Texas, they were using everybody. When they were clearing the land in Shanghai, there were there were farm tractors pulling trailers full of dirt because that's what they needed to do to get it done. And even in Texas, they were getting steel from multiple suppliers to keep the building going up at the pace it was. So I think when we see quarters like this is loading the spring. And I've said it before, there's only so many times you can crank that handle before all of a sudden a big old jack in the box comes bouncing out. And that's what we're coming up to.
Love that.
All right. Well, so today we've talked about should Tesla invest $5 billion in XAI. This started because, lots of people have been talking about this for months. Gali sent a post out yesterday saying Tesla should invest $5 billion to XAI. Elon said that that I'm going to do a poll. We do need to get shareholder approval for this, but I'll do a poll. And then the polls so far at this point, again, Elon fans, generic Tesla XX users, 68% saying yes. And then based on that, he just wanted to get a feel of where people are sitting on this. He'll bring it to the board and ask them to do it. Of course, Elon has to be played as carefully. They're going to get sued because he owns XAI. And so it needs to be a shareholder kind of belief. I think what we heard today, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but basically you said, XAI will benefit more from Tesla. And you're not exactly sure exactly why. You're not opposed to it because it's an Elon company, but you're not saying that it's like a must, versus I and a few others also believe that we need to be part of any kind of AI effort that's out there. This would be a perfect partner. I'm for that. And I think you still are for it. It's just that.
Listen, I'm 100% for it. I think we should do it. I think 5 billion is actually the right number. I agree with Gali on that. I already stated why. Yeah. I think in the next 18 months, Tesla benefits more from this than XAI because it helps us shift left the timeline with getting Grok into vehicles, into, maybe it won't be called Grok, I don't know, into humanoid and all that. And I think that we are just right there ready to start releasing and awakening the fleet. And for that, I think you have to have Grok because you need to be able to say, hey, just pull up here over to the left. Like, don't go to the destination, pull up here and left. Or say, hey, actually or that's her right there. Pick her up over there on the corner. You need to be able to understand what we're saying here. Oh, her in the red shirt. Things like that. That is why
kidnapping mode. Yeah, if you can't.
Yeah, offer some candies. Right? A little thing comes out. But yeah, that space last night. If anyone's listening right now, was on that space last night. It got into like a lot of it. It's why I got off and I came back on later when Adrian messaged me. But it just became all this like talk about Tesla getting sued, Elon getting sued. We should never make any decision based on our fear that we will or won't get sued. Make a decision based on what's the best decision, and then from there we can mitigate for risk, which I think they will do. I see moving forward, any deals, anything Tesla does, it's going to be almost impossible for them to get sued because they are just going to make sure everything's I's dotted, T's, or at least I hope they will. I hope they've learned a lesson by now that they're going to keep everything as tight and clean as possible. But my last question for you guys, did you guys get 12.5 at all?
No.
I've not got 12.5.
Okay.
Did you?
Okay. Yes, I got it last night.
Oh, you got it right?
During the
Okay.
earnings call.
And I don't have 12.4 either. I'm on 12.36.
I'm on 12.4. Yeah, what's up? Have you tried?
I was pretty much driving all last night at night in the rain. Only one critique of it is that, like, you know how, like, I don't know where you guys live, but in a neighborhood with all the other 12 versions, it would drive a little slower, like understanding, hey, I'm in a neighborhood. Or if it goes like over like cobblestone roads or brick roads, like it would go even slower, even speed limit is 25, it would go like at 14 because it understands that it's really bumpy. Yeah, this version does not take that into context at all. Mm-hmm. It's rough on those. That aside, it's impressive. It's really impressive. It saved my life last night, actually. Somebody ran a stop sign, like hard, stopped in the middle of the intersection, and FSD slowed down. I wouldn't even say aggressively, like honestly came to a nice stop. I didn't have a stop sign. I had the right of way. And I'm sitting there like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, boom, this car just stops right in front of me. Like, holy crap. There is a road that was closed off, cop lights on everything, and they just had a detour sign out. and FSD came right up. There was a car accident, came right up to that, took the side street, saw the detour, took the side street right in front of the cops too. I'm sitting there like looking at the cops, like just sitting here looking at them.
Yeah.
It took a detour, went all the way around them. There is an ambulance. I saw this is all at night while it's raining, by the way. Florida rain, like hard rain, not soft rain that you see everywhere else. Like this is pouring. There's an ambulance that was like in the median, and I was driving in the lane right next to that median. And as we approached the ambulance, it slowed down, switched lanes, kept going slow past it, and then accelerated again. It didn't show them up on the visualization or anything, but it was very clear it was taking into context what was happening. So, so far, really interesting. I haven't driven it during the daytime yet, so I'm really excited to try that out. But so far, it's just that one critique. It's like, come on, like we're clearly in a neighborhood, or this is clearly a brick road. You can't be going this fast on it. Like it's so uncomfortable. But that's why I think a 12.5.1 will definitely go wide.
Love it.
Thank you for that. Great conversation. Thank you all. Appreciate this. Good conversation. We need to talk about XAI and Tesla. Now we're talking about it. Thanks, everybody. See you guys next week.